again, thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to be reviewing the board leader development course that is a requirement for all of the chapters to be holding every year. We have received some communication about clarifying what the requirement is, what the chapters need to be doing. So today we're going to take some time to review that requirement. Crystal did recently send out this document out to all of the chapters. I'm also putting it in the chat if you want to download that as well. Again, if you have any questions at any time related to this document, please let us know. Again, your chapter staff should have all received this, and then also both the president and president-elect should have received this as well, this clarification to the requirements for the chapter recertification. So today we're going to review some of those requirements. We also have Jake Gold with us today, who's a part of our membership or our education team. And he is going to be reviewing our board leader certificate course that we offer that you can use that course to support this requirement if you wish to do so. So we've had some changes to that course that we want to highlight and review. And then we are going to have some time at the end for questions and discussion. So if there's been any struggles of holding this course, again, if there's any specific questions that you have at this time, we will be answering those. But throughout the course of today, or again, the next little bit that you're with us, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or to raise your hand. Again, this is a more casual session with us today. So again, feel free to ask. This is your time to ask the questions and to get clarifications, or again, you can see we've got a lot of your peers here as well that they might be able to share some of their thoughts and experiences as well. So give me 1 second while I share my screen with you all. Okay, are you seeing the roles and or the requirements? Yes? Okay, perfect. Thank you. So really quickly, just the requirements. Again, one of the foundations of Community Associations Institute is really our homeowner leaders. And so we want to make sure that they are getting the education that is beneficial for them to lead in their communities. And this is the board leadership development workshops that all of the chapters are holding locally. And so the requirement is a minimum of 4 hours. Now, those 4 hours do not need to take place at one time. They can take place in multiple sessions that are 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. But the biggest thing with this is that you're covering these 5 areas within that. So again, the governing documents and roles and responsibilities, communications, meetings, and volunteerism, fundamentals of financial management, professional advisors and service providers, and association rules and conflict resolution. So the chapters, you guys have the freedom to present this again in whatever format, whether it's in person, virtually, on demand, with all of these requirements being met for it. Now, we also have resources through a Dropbox link. Again, this link is also included in the PDF that I dropped into the chat, so you do have access to this. We have flyers that the chapter can use and make it their own, evaluation forms, instructor guides. So again, a lot of the times you'll work with your local education department. Thank you for dropping that in the chat, Jake. The roster templates that Jake will be referencing in a little bit once he goes through. Again, these are great resources, and including PowerPoint slides. So we really are trying to make this easy for you all to do that. I'm going to open up the document also really quickly. So you can see we actually within this document have outlined what each of those modules covers and about the estimated time period for those modules if you're using the Dropbox files. So again, we're trying to make this very simple for you moving forward, making sure you have the content. Please note that this content is made to be across the board best practices. It doesn't have a lot of state specific laws and regulations. So please make sure that you're incorporating those, or if anything needs to be changed because you know there's a regulation that you have within your state or area and it's in conflict with what we're saying, please feel free to change that. Again, we're trying to make sure that we can provide this content to all of you and that then you can use it to manipulate it for what best fits your region or area. Before I turn it over to Jake, does anyone have any questions about the requirements or the Dropbox materials?
You said that we need to offer this. Do we have to have a certain level of participation or just that it must be available?
It must be available. So not in terms of participation, we're not saying, 50% of your members or anything like that. We do have a lot of chapters who will work with the management companies to bring in people who aren't members of CAI and use this also as kind of a showcase of CAI. If there's a cost involved, sometimes they'll get that sponsored. And so then again, it's showcasing what that value is with CAI as well. All right, so I am going to turn it over to Jake, and he is going to be talking about our board leadership or our board leader certificate course that you can use to support this requirement.
Thanks, Kelly, and thanks everybody for having me to your chapter series today. I really appreciate it. It's great to see all of you, see a lot of familiar faces and names. So I'm happy to talk with you today about our CAI Board Leader Certificate program. So I have a couple slides I just wanted to go through with you. So as Kelly mentioned, yeah, homeowner education is so important. I mean, sometimes, there's lots of nonprofits out there, as you know, people doing lots of good work, helping animals, helping children, and sometimes we have a hard time with that mission side of things with CAI. But I think when we look at homeowner education, that's really is the heart of our mission, and why it's so important for us, why we exist really is to help get that information out there and make communities truly great places to live. And one of the best ways we can do that is by offering homeowner education. And as Kelly mentioned, you guys have options. I mean, when it comes down to it, it's really important for every chapter to be offering homeowner education in any way that we can. And we've tried to package that to make that as easy as possible for all of you. That's why we've put together this CAI Board Leader Certificate course. So you're welcome to use our materials, or you're welcome to, as Kelly mentioned, put together your own program that meets the requirements of chapter recertification. But I just wanted to go through what our program is like today, so you can have a little more information about that. So we have a couple of options. So the first option is with the Board Leader Certificate program. We've put together, as many of you know, we've been doing this for several years now, kits, hard copies of kits that include all of these materials. And to order those, it's $39 per kit, and it includes these items that you see on the screen. The board member toolkit, which is the little yellow book. Sometimes there's confusion about that. We actually have a second thing called the board member toolkit workbook, which is, you see that on the left-hand side in the picture there. It's a little blue book that's actually the participant guide for the course. So that comes with the kit, along with a bunch of other great resources, just to give our homeowner leaders a sense of what kinds of things CAI actually has to offer. What does Common Ground Magazine look like? What do our gaps look like? That managing and governing book is one of our gaps, and we have a lot of those. So it gives them a taste of some of the great resources that CAI has. So this is one option, is you can order hard copies of these kits, and I'll have a little information for you about how to do that here. So basically, it's pretty simple, honestly. We just need to know how many do you need, where do you want them sent? And when I say that, where do you want them sent is we're very flexible. I mean, if you want to order 50 kits and have them sent, you're doing an in-person program, great, that's easy. Or if you're doing a virtual program, you have 50 people in 50 different locations, we can accommodate that as well. If you can get us a spreadsheet with the contact information, their name, address, city, state, zip, all that good stuff, that we'll make sure we'll take care of that for you. We'll ship those out. But the key to this is the third bullet you see there is we really need to receive that information a couple weeks before your program. That really is important. We use a third-party printer to package and send these kits. They're based in the Atlanta area. And it honestly takes a while for them to get them out the door. Like if you send it to us, we'll place your order immediately. We'll place it that day. There's never any question about that, but it's sometimes takes a while for the printer to turn that around. So 2 weeks will guarantee that your attendees will receive their kits in time. And then the last piece is when your class is done, if you're assuming you're doing an in-person program again, or virtual, if you can send us your final roster within 3 to 5 days of your course after it's happened, we will make sure that your attendees get credit essentially for taking this program, for taking the CAI board leader certificate course. They will earn their certificate. So we want, if you can make sure you send us that roster, we'll do what we need to do behind the scenes to ensure that they receive their certificate.
Hey, Jake, we have a couple of questions that it might be a good time for you to answer now, if that's
Sure.
okay.
Sure.
One, if within that 2-week period, there's additional people that sign up for their course, how do those people get their kits? Is there an option for them still to receive these physical kits?
That's a great question. Something that we obviously run into all the time. We get it. We're in the education department. We run into the same kind of issue. So I understand that 2 weeks ahead can be challenging. Sometimes people like to register at the very last minute. So I think the best way to go for this is if you can send us your initial roster, and then we understand there's going to be adjustments as it gets closer. So we can definitely handle those as long as there's the recognition that they may or may not get their kits in time for we have that exact same issue with our M100, M200 series courses. We have a course going on today, and I swear people registered yesterday and today, and then they're surprised that they didn't get their kit in the mail in time for their course. So we totally understand that, but I think that's the best way to go is, yeah, if you can we can make adjustments as we go.
A couple other questions related to the kits. The cost, just to confirm in the chat, it's $39 each for the physical kit. Is that
That's
correct?
right. Yep,
And that needs to be
$39.
paid in advance when they order it. That's paid, or how does that work?
Great, another great question. Yeah, we've really simplified this over the last couple of years, which is we make sure it's okay with each chapter, but the easiest, simplest way to go is just make a deduction from the chapter rebate. And no one has to exchange credit cards or checks or any of that kind of thing. And that really has been working really well. So as long as we just ensure that every chapter says, yes, this is okay, then we go ahead and do that.
And there was also a question about if these are the same kits from several years ago, 7 years ago, actually, for board training. These are updated as of what, 2-3 years ago? Is that correct, Jake? Can you?
Yeah, they
share with
are
that?
updated, and I have I'm going to go through that in a couple of slides,
Okay.
so I'll just hang on
Perfect.
to that question.
Okay,
Yep.
and I have a question about speakers, but if you don't get to that, I'll come back to that. I'll let you continue. Thank you,
Okay,
Jake.
sure thing, of course. So that's the first option is the physical kits. We've actually are piloting a second option. So this is brand new. So we wanted to tell all of you about this is we are trying out, we're gonna start a new option, which is the digital kits. So for $15 per person, if you can send us the names of the people that are attending your program, we will enroll them in the digital online access to this program for a period of 1 year. And with the digital option, obviously they don't receive a hard copy of a kit, but they can log in anytime and access the online lessons that go with the course, as well as you see on the right-hand side of the screen there, lots of PDF files, a lot of the similar materials they would receive in hard copy form in the kits. They'll receive the PDFs or a digital version of those materials. So this is another nice option. And how do you do that? If you're interested in the digital kits, again, we just need to know how many, and we need to know, have a spreadsheet with their contact information. And again, so this spreadsheet is a little different in terms of it's vital that we have their email address, because obviously to log into the CAI website, first of all, we have to have their profile in our database, and they need to have an email address on file so that they can log in. So if you can send us a spreadsheet with their names, kind of, again, full contact information, because we'll have to create a profile for them, and their email address, then we will create a profile for them and give them access. It's not as time sensitive as the physical kits, but it would be great to have that a week prior to your program to give our team time to input all that data into our database and enroll them in the digital kit.
Jake, really quickly, if they purchase the physical kits, do they also get access to the digital kits?
Absolutely, they do actually, but that usually happens after the course. But yeah, they will still be enrolled in that same piece. So you're right. And when you order the hard copies, it's really getting 2 items, 2 for 1, basically. It's a nice piece, and that's important. The online piece is important because that's where they can log in and acknowledge that they've read some of these key pieces of information, and then that's how they get their certificate. And I'll go through that again in a second here as well. Okay, so if you're ready at some point to place an order, either for a digital kit or a hard copy, how to do that is pretty simple. You can send an email to our generic education email, which is just CAI Education, CAIonline.org. You can send me an email, that's fine as well. Or we've also created a new thing, a SurveyMonkey, and you see the link there on the screen, and that's also in that document that Crystal and Kelly shared. That's a simple way to just type in all the information, and we'll get notified as soon as that is submitted, that an order has come in. So that's another simple way to place an order. Okay, so wanted to let you know this is a growing program. It is gaining in popularity. You can see here that there's currently 1,700 people recognized on the website, and this is really, it's only been in the last couple of years that you might recall that we updated the course, changed the name. So this is just over the past couple of years that we've had so many people going in and being recognized. So this is what happens when they complete your either in-person program or the online version of the course or the digital version. They will get their name on the CAI website, and they can log in anytime. Anybody can see that. So it really is a nice recognition piece for your attendees. And this really is one of the nice reasons for using the CAI program, because it's part of a larger network, part of a larger program. I guess you could say worldwide program where people are recognized. And I just wanted to point out, over the past year, you guys have been really doing an awesome job. Definitely, we can tell we're moving into the post-pandemic phase, because orders have been coming in a lot stronger this year, which is great. You can see, our fiscal year goes July 1 to June 30. So just in this fiscal year alone, with a few months to go, 800 kits have been ordered by you guys. So we're really excited about that, and we just wanted to share that feedback with you, that you guys are doing an awesome job. So in addition to having their name listed in that directory for earning their certificate, they actually receive an actual certificate, which is an electronic version of it through the CAI website. This is always available anytime after they complete the program. It will never go away. All they have to do is log in to our website on the top right where it says My CAI. Then under that, there's a bunch of drop downs. One of them is just education and events. They click on that, then that's what they'll see on the bottom there is my education and events. And you can see under report, the word certificate is a hyperlink. They could click on that anytime they want to. And then that certificate that looks just like this pops up. They can download it, print it out if they want to, but it's another nice component of this program. Okay, just a couple other things I wanted to share with you. Again, as Kelly mentioned, we have this Dropbox link. If you ever need anything for this program, we keep all the materials in there. So it's a real handy way to just access things without having to contact the national staff. Then you could just click on the link and all those materials are always there. From the videos, the slides, instructor guides, and some ads and flyers. So it's helpful information. Also, this is what we wanted to mention. We do update the materials. That's a common question that we get. We update the materials every single year. We take a look at them. As you know, you may know, there's a lot of statistics in the course, and this is a screenshot of our fact book, basically. And we update the fact book every year, so we want to make sure this course is constantly up to date as well. So we always go through it, update all the facts and figures, and we also update it we look for content changes as well. So that's something that we do every year. And as Kelly mentioned at the beginning also is, it is important to make sure that what you're offering is relevant for your state or your area. So we very much encourage if you want to add an extra slide to the end of each module, just giving some state specific information, or if your speakers can just speak to how this topic works in your area, that makes a big difference. And then finally, again, you are more than welcome to use whatever talent that you have in your chapter to teach this program. Like we said, managers, attorneys, insurance professionals, whoever you trust and know is knowledgeable, that's who you should use to teach this program. And again, you can feel free to share the slide decks with them, the instructor guides, to help them get ready to teach. And then I added this last bullet point. Just from the education perspective, education, there is a value to education. So, I think it is important to charge something. Obviously, you guys have full discretion to do whatever works for your area and your market. But I included this screenshot of the online version of this course. You can see we charge $99 for CAI members and $199 for non-members for the e-learning version. And lots of people take advantage of that. So just wanted to put that out there. It is important to look at that, and because there is value in education and training.
Hey, Jake, I just wanted to add to that, if I may. We do have people taking it online, as Jake said, but by far, people appreciate the chapter program because it provides more interaction with the speakers and with the attendees themselves, whether it be virtual or in person. So we certainly, encourage people to contact their chapters as the first avenue for delivery.
And I can tell you from a numbers perspective, it's vastly more in the chapter offerings. So again, that's just a testimony to the great job that all you guys are doing.
Hey, Jake, do we have any idea what the average class size is for these courses within the chapters? Or maybe Kelly knows, because
Yeah,
Kelly's done some surveying for us.
So based on a survey that we did last summer with the chapters, this really ranges by chapter size and region. Of course, our low numbers were around 5, and then we've had some chapters in the hundreds. So again, it's really, I think, how your chapters running this program, also the amount of members and how your member breakup or makeup with everything. So it really does range for that. If you're needing very specific, if you want to know by region or other similar size chapters, feel free to reach out to me. I do have those averages that I can provide to you. But it really does range for that. And I think even within the chapters, it tends to range depending on how you're offering the program, when you're offering the program, and who's really marketing it with you. Are you working with your managers and management companies to promote this out to also their clients, or is it all internal to just your membership base that you're marketing this out with?
And Kelly, talking about delivery, there was a question in the chat that I addressed, but you might want to address it as well, is collaborating with another chapter. What is the expectation there? Is that allowable, and how would we like to see that?
Absolutely. And absolutely, we're all about collaboration. As you can see, we're trying to make sure that you're communicating with your peers more and working with, again, other similar chapters, whether that's by region or size. So yes, we have multiple chapters that are already collaborating on experiences with this program. Again, the requirement with it is that they're all participating. We don't want one chapter to take on all of the information and the other chapters just kind of signing their name to it, where they're not marketing, they're not involved in the way of helping provide a speaker or running the presentation and things like that. So again, all parties involved should be marketing this out. They should be a part of the process. They should have a voice in the program. And if that's the case, absolutely, yes, please collaborate, please work with each other. Specifically, our smaller chapters have found success in collaborating with each other, or again, a larger chapter that's in a similar region. So that, again, the participants, it's not just 2 or 3 people in the room, but they're able to have access to more of their peers as well for those discussions that take place during the workshop. You're on mute, Crystal.
Thank you for noticing that. Thank you, Kelly. Jake, I have one more logistical question from the chat. Are chapters able to get copies of the certificates for each participant?
That's a trickier one, since it's tied to their individual profile and their individual login on the CAIO website. So most likely the answer to that, I think, is no, unfortunately. I mean, they're welcome to share them with you, but it's kind of like their proprietary login on the website. And so
Do we still have in the Dropbox? I know this goes back years, but we had a template of a certificate if they wanted to provide a certificate for the course. Is that still an option?
we do have that. So if any chapter would like a copy of that, just let us know anytime. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
But
Well-
please note with that, sorry, Crystal, to
Okay.
cut you off, that even if you're giving those certificates, they do need to go and do the next step in the online version to make sure that there's 3 statements that they have to agree that they've read and understand and will follow. And so if they do not do that, they will not be listed. We are not viewing them as getting that certificate and completing the program. So if you are supplying them with a certificate, please make sure you are very clear that if you're doing this part of the program, that they do need to do that next step. If you're not doing the board leader certificate course that Jake just reviewed, again, you don't need to worry about those next steps, and everything will be fine. But again, just to be clear and make sure that you're being clear with your attendees as well of that requirement for them.
So,
But and one piece too, if you are looking to see who completed those next steps, again, you can reach out to a member of the chapter relations team, or also Jake, I'm sure you or a member of your team could also help pull that list to see who went to that next step and completed that. We can pull a list of that. Again, it's not the certificates, but it's a list that you can see who went to that next step and actually completed that.
Yeah, to officially close out the board certificate piece of this program, I just feel free to contact me or our amazing chapter team anytime with questions about the program. And so I think at this point is a great time to open up for any other Q&A that anybody has about homeowner education in general or about this specific program.
Kelly, I have
Yes.
a question. This is
Yeah.
Jack. Do you find in smaller chapters that if the chapter puts on the program compared to the digital or to the online, that more people complete the program?
I don't know that I've looked at those statistics of completing the program, but again, more people are taking this within the chapters than just, going to our website and signing up online. And so I'm going to make that assumption that more are completing and doing that next step, since I believe the majority of those 1,700 that have completed it went through the program through the chapter level, not on their own.
Okay, so you're saying if the chapter puts it on, you get a better chance of them completing it. That's what I'm thinking. In other words, they've signed up for it, they're going to show up, and you're with other people. That's what it comes down to. Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Go ahead, Rainey.
So this certificate course is completely different from the old workshop one that was like 6 hours long, right? This is completely different.
I wouldn't say completely different. I mean, some of these topics are evergreen, as you can imagine. Financial management is financial management, that kind of thing. As those of you that have been around a few years like us, you've probably seen this program called lots of different names over the years, everything from the ABCs to the essentials to the board leadership development workshop to now the CAI board leader certificate. So yes, it's gone through many different iterations, but the core topics have always pretty much been the same important things, but we just try to make them more current.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Jake, I have a question. We usually like to include a risk management section in there as well. Is that okay if we still do that?
It's a great idea. I mean, that's an important professional that we have in this industry. So we strongly encourage that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Rule of thumb is you're welcome to add. We just want to make sure that you do the basic principles. So each of those sections should be covered. A couple other questions here in the chat, and those of you online can answer in the chat, is how much do you typically charge for the course? Along with that, I want to add if you have sponsors or not, because I know some chapters get a high level of sponsors so they can charge a lower amount. So if anybody wants to share that, feel free to put that in the chat. And Tom, hi Tom, asking about teaching the course. So Jake, you had said that anyone the chapter feels is qualified to speak on those areas. Is that correct?
Absolutely, that's right.
Okay. Any other questions?
Does anyone have anything they'd like to share with their peers that you've been successful with that might be a good tip or trick for the chapters who might be struggling with this? Kathy, I saw you came off mute. Did you want to say anything?
I did, but it's probably not something that I'm sure everybody probably does this, but during COVID, we actually did this particular class. We broke it out into, I think, like 6 different weeks. So we did like a portion of it every Thursday evening, and we got great attendance when we did that. But we're going to try to do one in person this year, but doing it virtually really was great for us.
Tim, go ahead.
Different from Kathy, what we have been successful with is doing it in one sitting on a Saturday. We usually do it from 9 to 2 or 9 to 3, but that seems to be what's worked for us. The other thing in terms of attracting people the first few years that I was here, it was dreadful. We couldn't pay people to come. But now what we've been doing is we have PCAMs teaching the class. So different companies, and we always have two, and they have gone to their clients, and that's how we've gotten the majority of our people to come. It's been really from our speakers that are PCAMs for management companies. So that's been really successful for us. In the last 2 years, we've sold out our room.
That's
That's
great.
great.
Tim, how much did you charge for that?
So it's a little bit of a tricky question. We typically charge $99, but if they are a member, then we charge $49. So we try and cover the cost of the kit. By the way, I put this in the chat. People love those kits. That's a great tool. We just really like getting those. So usually the charge is going to be $49. And then we serve breakfast and lunch. So it's a little bit of a hit for us. I have gotten some very small sponsors in the past to help cover that. So it's usually a wash. I don't try to make money off of this.
Right, that's kind of what I figured.
All right. Well, if anyone thinks of any other questions, please feel free to reach out to, again, the chapter relations team, to Jake specifically. As a reminder, it is not a requirement that you do the board leader certificate course, but it's a great way to just support this requirement of the board leadership development and making sure that our homeowner leaders are getting the education so they can be the most efficient within their communities. So thank you for joining us today. We'll stay on for another minute or so just to make sure if there's anyone with a very specific question, if you want to stay on to ask that, you're more than welcome to. But thank you for joining us, and I hope you have the great rest of your day.